Hello guys, so I have some materials which will help you to improve your level of English. So how was the date? You probably think this is a parent asking the question to their child, but many children are now helping their single parents find love too. Clint Bouchaz, a 52-year-old businessman from Reigate, Surrey, got divorced 10 years ago. His daughter, 26-year-old Charlotte, doesn't want her dad to end up alone. Her mom remarried 5 years ago, and Charlotte has a boyfriend. Charlotte and Clint are very close. They often go out together in the evening. They're planning a trip to India for later in the year, and they're both Bruce Springsteen fans. But Charlotte thinks that Clint needs a new partner, and he agrees. My dad is the perfect man, she says. He's warm, he's generous, he knows how to look after a woman, how to treat a woman. He's a gentleman. He's also he's always the one who pays on dates. He's romantic and he's fun. I don't mind spending Friday and Saturday nights with my dad, and that says a lot. I'm only 26. Dating in the 21st century is very different from when Clint was young. Internet dating has changed everything. It's difficult now just to walk over to a woman and ask her, "Can I buy you a drink?" He says. Before, when you met people face to face, there was sometimes a spark, a feeling of romantic destiny. You don't get that from someone's profile picture. Charlotte wrote Clint's dating profile for an online dating website. Clint would like to meet a woman who works, preferably a businesswoman. Someone who's independent but funny and clever. He has had several dates, but none of the women were right for him. He and Charlotte are still looking. I'm always hopeful, he says. I really believe that sooner or later I'm going to find the one. The remake project was the idea of Canadian artist Jess Hamada. He asked readers of his website to remake a famous work of art as a photo. Hundreds of people sent photos to the project, and the photos appeared in blogs, in newspapers, and in a book. Passport, tickets, money, phone. It's the mantra we always say to ourselves when we go on holiday to make sure we haven't forgotten anything. But what happens when one of those things is suddenly missing? Email us your stories or send us a recording. Last year, I went on holiday to the Alps with a group of friends. One day we climbed a mountain. Well, it wasn't really a climb, but it was a long walk. And it took about 2 hours to get to the top. When we got there, we had lunch. The view was amazing. We could see the sea in the distance. We took photos and just sat in the sun for a while. Then we went down again, and when we got back to the car, I wanted to take another photo, but I couldn't find my phone. It wasn't in my bag. I thought, oh no, it's probably at the top of the mountain where we had lunch. I decided the only thing to do was to go back up the mountain to get it because I didn't want to leave my phone up there. My friend said, okay, but you can't go on your own. But you can't go on your own. So in the end, we all went up again, which was another 2 hours. When we got to the top, we spent about half an hour looking for the phone, but we couldn't find it anywhere. Then it started to get colder. It was now late afternoon. So I took my jacket out of my bag and my phone was in my jacket pocket. I felt terrible and really stupid. My friends were very nice about it, but they never let me forget it. How to take better holiday photos. Holiday time is the one time we all take photos. We're in a strange new place, the sun is shining, and we want to record our surroundings and happy memories. So, how do we take the perfect holiday photos? Here are 3 useful tips. I took this photo in Brugge, in Belgium. I got up, and when my friends were having breakfast, I went for a walk with my camera. This gave me 3 advantages. The sun was low in the sky, and the light was beautiful and warm. There were no people around. My friends didn't need to wait patiently when I was taking photos. The light in the evening is also good, but there are a lot more people around. There are times in the local market, for example, when having lots of people in the photo can be a good thing, but most of the time I prefer my photos to be less crowded. I took these photos of the Forbidden City in Beijing, and I think the picture on the right is much better. Try not to take exactly the same picture as millions of other people. Look for little details that other photographers haven't seen. Although I'm a very enthusiastic photographer, I often buy a nice postcard of the places I visit, much better than going home with pictures that aren't very good. These are the gardens outside the Louvre in Paris. We spent all day looking at the paintings and we were walking back to the hotel when we saw someone feeding the birds. I only had my little camera with me, but it was all I needed. I quickly took maybe 30 photos from different angles, and this one is the best. How organized are you? When you have lots of things to do, you write them on a piece of paper or a post it note, you keep them in your head, you put them in your phone, diary, or calendar. When you go shopping, you sometimes have a list, you always have a list, you decide what to buy when you get there. When you meet friends, your friends sometimes arrive before you. You are usually the first to arrive at the restaurant. Your friends always need to wait for you. When you go on holiday, you pack a few hours before leaving. If you've forgotten something, you can buy it when you get there. You have a list of what to take and start packing a few days before. You look through your wardrobe and pack the night before you go. When you travel by plane or train, you arrive at the airport or station a long time before you really need to be there. You usually arrive at the recommended time. You leave home at the last possible minute. How fast is your life? Do people tell you that you talk too quickly? Do you get impatient when other people are talking? Are you the first person to finish at meal times? When you are walking along a street, do you feel frustrated when you are behind people who are walking more slowly? Do you get irritable if you sit for an hour without doing anything, waiting for the doctor? Do you walk out of shops and restaurants if there is a queue? I want it and I want it now. What, Whatever happened to patience? We don't like waiting for things anymore. With faster broadband, instant searches, and immediate downloads, we expect things to happen immediately, and if they don't, we get impatient. Fast food restaurants have changed the way we eat. The growth of mobile phone apps like Tinder has changed the way we meet new people. We don't need to wait a week to see the next episode of a TV series. We can download it on Netflix. We're even walking 10% faster than 20 years ago and talking more quickly. Everything is getting faster, but is it getting better? That depends on how fast you like to live. How has your life changed over the last 3 years? Do you spend more do you spend more or less time working or studying, getting to work, university or school, sitting in traffic, talking on the phone, seeing friends, online, sleeping, cooking, shopping, using your computer? Do you have more or less free time? What don't you have time for nowadays? What would you like to have more time for? What are the most and least honest cities in the world? Reader's Digest organized an experiment to try to find out. Their reporters lost 12 wallets in 16 cities around the world. They left the wallets in different areas of each of the chosen cities, places like shopping malls or in parks or on the pavement. In each wallet, there was the equivalent of $50 in local currency, a family photo, and a couple of business cards with a name and phone number. A reporter waited somewhere near each wallet to see what happened. Another reporter answered the phone when people called to report the lost wallet and then met the people and asked them why they returned the wallet. Are they good and bad? Are they really good and bad? How do we know what to believe when doctors give us advice about what to drink and what not to drink? Every week, it seems a scientific study contradicts last week's research. Jeremy Lawrence reviews the latest medical research into drinks. Alcohol. For the heart, in small amounts, according to some studies, 2 small glasses of red wine a day can cut the risk of heart attack by 30%, especially for middle-aged men. Bad for the liver. Liver disease is increasing. Some studies also say that 1 drink a day increases a woman's risk of all types of cancer by 6%. Other recent studies suggest that no alcohol at all is the ideal for both men and women. Good coffee contains caffeine, which is a stimulant drug, and millions of people drink coffee every day. It improves short-term memory, makes your muscles stronger, keeps you awake, and tastes delicious. Bad. It's sometimes connected with heart disease, arthritis, and high blood pressure. Juice. Good for people who don't like fruit and prefer to have it as juice. Bad for teeth, especially orange juice, which contains a lot of acid. Juice also has a lot of natural sugar, so drinking a lot can add to weight problems. Milk. Good for very young children who need the calcium for their bones. Bad for adults and older children. They don't need the extra calcium, and high-fat foods like full-fat milk, butter, and cheese can cause heart disease. Good. Black tea cuts the risk of heart disease. It also reduces stress, makes you more alert, and may help the immune system and prevent diabetes. Bad, if you add milk, the good effects of tea disappear. Sugar makes it worse. Water. Good. We can't live without it, but how much is enough? Typical advice is that you need 2.5 liters a day, but that includes liquid you get from other drinks and from food. Too much water can cause problems, e.g. low salt levels. A few people have actually died from drinking too much water. Why negative thinking can be positive? Everybody thinks that it's better to be an optimist than a pessimist. Even pessimists think it, of course. People always say, cheer up, don't worry, be happy, smile. But in fact, there is a kind of pessimism called defensive pessimism that can lead to very positive results, according to Julie K. Norem, a professor of psychology at Wellesley College, Massachusetts. Defensive pessimism is a strategy used in specific situations to manage anxiety, fear, and worry, says Norem. Studies show that 30 to 35% of Americans use it to help them in their lives, and they're often very successful people. Defensive pessimists think about future situations and prepare for them by imagining all the things that can go wrong. For example, if a defensive pessimist has an important exam, they think this. Then they look at each possible problem and plan how to avoid it. So for the exam situation, they go to bed early and have a good night's sleep. They find out in advance exactly where the exam is, they eat a good breakfast and take lots of pens and pencils and a bottle of water, and they leave home early. That puts them in control, and it means that the exam will be better than for an optimist who just thinks, oh, everything will be fine. Because sometimes everything goes wrong, and it's good to be prepared. The Woman Who Inspired. I Have a Dream. Mahalia Jackson was a musical legend who helped to bring gospel music from the church to large audiences. She was Aretha Franklin's mentor, and in 1961 she was the first gospel singer to win a Grammy Award. She was also an important member of the civil rights movement in the USA, and she was a close friend of Martin Luther King. Mahalia often went with King on civil rights demonstrations and marches, including into the most hostile parts of the South, and she sang at the events. As a presenter from National Public Radio said, her voice became the soundtrack of the civil rights movement. On 28th of August 1963, there was a famous march in Washington against racism. Mahalia was with King, who was going to give a 5-minute speech. Before the day itself, he and his advisors decided what he was going to say. King began speaking to an audience of more than 250,000 people, but towards the end he felt that his speech was not going well. Suddenly Mahalia shouted, "Tell them about the dream, Martin! Tell them about the dream!" She knew about it because she was at a previous event in Detroit in June of that year where King talked about his dream for African Americans. It was, in the words of King's advisor, Clarence Jones, one of the world's greatest gospel singers shouting to one of the world's greatest preachers. King looked at Mahalia, then he threw away his written speech and looked at the audience. "I have a dream. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of the skin, but by the content of their character." And so he continued, and he gave one of the best loved speeches in American history. Dear Graham, I'm 24 and my partner is 46. We've been together for 2 years and we have a wonderful relationship. I also have a great relationship with his children from his previous marriage, but I feel worried when I think about our future together. He has already lived life. He's been married, he's had children, and he's owned a business. I'm just starting my life. I want to have children, but he's not sure. I love him and I want to be with him, but I also want to share the adventures of life with someone. Should I leave him? Am I making my life more difficult by choosing to be with someone who's more than 20 years older than me? When was the last time you got a present? What was it? Who was it from? Do you usually get nervous before exams or presentations? What do you do to feel more relaxed? What website do you use if you want to get tickets, to travel, for the cinema, theater, concerts? Who do you get on with best in your family? Is there anybody you don't get on with? How do you get to work, school, university? How long does it usually take you? What's the first thing you do when you get home from work, school, university? How many messages do you get a day on your phone? How many emails do you get? Who are they usually from? Do you answer them? Do you have a good sense of direction, or do you often get lost? Why aren't women's sports as popular as men's? Send us your thoughts. I actually prefer watching women's tennis. Men usually hit the ball so hard, especially when they serve, that their opponent can return it, so it's less exciting to watch. I think we should open up men's football to women. Then we could compare person to person how well each player performs, and teams could be made up of the best players, both men and women. That's true of most team sports, actually. Women's sports that are identical to men's sports, football and basketball for example, will never be as popular as men's because men are faster, stronger, and more athletic. On the other hand, sports that highlight the strengths of female athletes, tennis, gymnastics, ice skating, are popular. But it's interesting that none of those are team sports. Brandy, I think you're right about the difference between team and individual sports. When I watch the Olympics, winter and summer, I enjoy the women's and men's individual events equally. The women probably run, swim, ski a bit slower than the men, but I can't really tell and it's just as exciting. Most people want to watch the best sports people perform at the highest level. If you compare top male and female athletes, physical differences mean that women are always inferior athletes to men. In men's football, the players fall over all the time and act like babies. The women don't do that. I've read research that says that women hardly ever pretend to be hurt, and when they are hurt, they get up again 30 seconds faster than men. Ella White is a baker and has her own small shop in Ashburton, Devon. Peter Gordon presents The Breakfast Show on Eagle Radio in the south of England. Do you ever get up very late or very early? What's the first thing you turn on after you wake up in the morning? Have you ever forgotten to turn your phone off in a concert or the cinema? Do you throw away old clothes or do you give them to other people? Do you enjoy trying on clothes when you go shopping? When you go shopping, do you usually write down what you have to buy? Do you only buy what's on the list? What kind of shops do you enjoy looking around? What kind don't you enjoy? Do you often go away at the weekend? Where to? Do you enjoy looking after small children? Have you ever asked your neighbors to turn the TV or the music down? What happened? How do you usually get around your city? Sorry, how do you usually get around your town or city during the day? What about late at night? Fame Academy. They grew up to become famous, but what were they like when they were at school? Did they already have that spark that made them different? We asked their teachers. Alex Turner, lead singer and songwriter of Arctic Monkeys. Everyone liked Alex at school. He was very good at English. Mr. Baker, his English teacher, really liked poetry, and I'm sure Alex was inspired by him because his song lyrics are incredible. But he didn't used to be very interested in music, he was much more interested in sports. He was possibly the best in the school at basketball. When he was 14, he broke his arm in my PE lesson. He was in hospital for a week, and we collected money and bought him a CD. So he was probably beginning to get interested in music. Everyone at the school is very proud of the band, and I'm sometimes invited to their concerts. J.K. Rowling, author. Joanne was about 12 when I taught her. Her school days weren't very happy. The school was a bit like a prison, and then her mom, Anne, got seriously ill. Anne worked as my technician, and Joanne used to come and wait outside the science building for her mom so that they could walk home together. She was obviously very worried about her mom. She was a very quiet child. I don't remember her even answering a question. I think she was keeping all her experiences in her head to use later in her stories. Joanne has said that no characters in Harry Potter are based more than 10% on a real person. So perhaps it's just a coincidence that I used to have long black hair. But to be honest, I think Professor Snape, especially in the later books, is very like me. Jude Law, actor. Jude was bullied at her first secondary school, so he changed schools when he was 14 and came to us. He didn't know anybody, but that wasn't a problem for him. He adapted very quickly, which shows his confidence. He quickly started acting in school plays and he used to get fantastic reviews in the school magazine. He was clever, but some teachers thought he was arrogant. Some of his classmates thought the same and he wasn't very popular with them. Other boys were jealous of him because the girls usually liked him. Stop the plane. We want to get on. An Italian couple ran out onto the runway of Malta's International Airport to stop a Ryanair jet from leaving for Italy without them, a Maltese court heard on Thursday. Matteo Clementi, 26, and Enrica Apollonio, 23, got stuck in terrible traffic on their way to the airport on Wednesday. When they arrived, the gate was closed and they were not allowed to board their flight back to Italy. They went to the next gate, forced open a security door, and ran towards the plane. The engines were running and the stairs had been removed, but the couple tried signaling to the pilots to let them get on. However, they were not allowed to board and were arrested by security staff. A lawyer defending them in court said that Wednesday was Enrica's 23rd birthday. She had wanted to celebrate it with her family and friends in Italy. Instead, she spent the evening in prison and the couple were fined €2,000. From $20 to $1 million in 30 minutes. A man who found $20 bill in the street near San Francisco International Airport used it to play the California lottery and won $1 million. Lottery spokesman Greg Parashak said on Monday. Hubert Tang used the $20 to buy 2 lottery scratch cards at a store near the airport on Wednesday and won the top prize with one of them, Parashak told us. Tang said, I scratched the ticket outside the store. I told my friend who I was with that I didn't know if it was real, but I thought I had just won $1 million. Tang, who works as a barman at the airport, had not played the lottery for the last 10 years. He said that he planned to continue working and had not decided how to spend the money. But he said that he might leave $20 notes in different places so that other people could find them and be lucky, like him. Last Monday, workers in the luggage area of Stockholm's Arlanda airport in Sweden got a big surprise. They were taking suitcases off the luggage belt to put them on the different planes when suddenly they saw an old lady sitting on the belt next to her suitcase. The woman had got confused at the check-in desk. She had put her luggage on the belt and then had sat down on the belt herself. A spokesman at the airport said, unfortunately, she did not understand when she was given check-in instructions. She got on the belt together with her bag. Luckily, it wasn't a long ride, only a few meters. Learn English in Dublin. Come and improve your English this summer. We run courses from 2 to 4 weeks. You can have classes from 3 to 6 hours a day, or you can combine studying with cultural activities like theater trips or museum visits. There are general English courses from beginner to advanced, as well as business English and exam preparation classes. You can stay with a local family or in student accommodation. Write to us for more information. Tell us about yourself and what you're looking for, and we will suggest the perfect course for you. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to my channel.